Earlier on about the jump in numbers, but you have more news for us.
Well, that's right, Peter. We're live to you from Chriselda Park here in Johannesburg. And by all indications at this stage, you'd recall, we did say that President Cyril Ramaphosa is having a very important last talks now with the National Command Council. And that council certainly was to decide together with the president on what course of action South Africa will take going forward, whether its stance will change in terms of how we're dealing with COVID-19. At the moment, you'd know that South Africa has had its highest jump in terms of numbers of the COVID-19 virus. 402 confirmed cases of the coronavirus in South Africa. This is 128 up from the figure that was given yesterday. So breaking news now. It certainly seems like, Peter, that the South African National Defence Force will be deployed to various areas to help deal with COVID-19. What SABC News understands that is likely something that is to be announced by President Cyril Ramaphosa tomorrow. We're not sure at this stage whether a total lockdown will be announced by the president, but certainly with South Africa now having its highest jump in terms of the numbers, 128 more since the figure given yesterday, certainly South Africa would need to change its stance and make sure that it is able to do. All right, at this stage, I beg your pardon, sir, just give me 1 second. All right, we've got some members of the South African National Defence Force. I think they're trying to move us from this particular area at the moment. Sir, if we are able to just have a chat with you for 1 second. All right, at this stage, Peter, we're being asked to move our camera. Everyone else seems to be recording on the part where we are here, and we are being told that we should switch off the camera at this point. The South African National Defence Force, a member of the South African National Defence Force, telling our camera person, Herbert Mamela, at this stage to remove his camera. And we will certainly, it seems that the media is not being allowed here at this stage, but all indications, Peter, are that there might be a great possibility that the South African National Defence Force is being readied to deal with South Africa's next phase in terms of dealing with the coronavirus. So that's certainly something we'll need to hear in what President Cyril Ramaphosa says when he addresses the nation this evening. But you will see here towards my right this gate being opened once again. And there's a truck here that has been parked, and quite a number of these members of the South African National Defence Force who have been coming out of this particular area here. So much speculation, a lot of media has been camped out here at this stage, but obviously we'll have to hear from President Cyril Ramaphosa on exactly what South Africa's next step is. Recall that the Health Minister, Dr. Zweli Mkhize, had mentioned a little over a week ago and said that if South Africa as position does not change in the next 2 weeks, we probably need to revise how we're dealing with the spread of the coronavirus in the country. So with the highest number in terms of those infected jumping from a little over 128 from yesterday's figure, sitting currently, of course, at 402. Those are the confirmed number of cases. Certainly the president would need to come up with a stance that is going to ensure that South Africans do not continue to panic, and whatever course of action that South Africa takes is going to be the interest of South Africans to ensure that they are able to contain the spread of the coronavirus, Peter.
All right, Chriselda, I mean, I can imagine if you have to suddenly go, we'll understand because of the instructions that you're getting there. But when you start to see the military mobilizing, this only happens in extreme cases, in emergencies. And so, as you were saying, perhaps an indicator that something more serious in terms of measures is on the horizon.
Well, absolutely, Peter. I mean, it's not under normal circumstances that the South African National Defence is brought in. You would, of course, remember that just recently we had members of the South African National Defence Force who were deployed to the military service, deployed to Wuhan City, the epicenter of the coronavirus in China. And here you have them now in what seems to be an effort by the South African government. Of course, again, I must reiterate, we will hear from President Cyril Ramaphosa a bit later on this evening, but this certainly gives you an indication that South Africa does believe that it is not business as usual. The current restrictions that have been put in place are not working because the numbers that have now risen, it's risen to 402, the highest jump as I've indicated, Peter. So it is not business as usual. Whatever the South African government would need to come up with this time would need to be something that would be seen to be a government that is dealing with the spread of the coronavirus in the country. I mean, you look at countries like Rwanda, for example. Rwanda, way less cases than South Africa, but it was already put much more extreme measures in place. Is there pressure on the South African government currently? One can certainly say perhaps there is, to be seen to be acting in a way that is in the best interest of its citizens. So that remains to be seen what the president will say. I mean, especially with reports of the first death in Zimbabwe as well as in Nigeria. I mean, South Africa certainly needs to be doing something about how it's dealing with COVID-19 and needs to be seen to be putting much more stringent measures in place. So the visuals that you're seeing live on your screen now certainly indicate at this stage that there might be a deployment of the South African National Defence Force in the event of some kind of announcement. All right, we're being told to pack it up, Peter, at the moment. That certainly was the expectation at this point. We've been told to wrap it up here by these members of the South African National Defence Force. We're not sure where they're headed to at this point, but yeah, we've been told to pack it up here, Peter. We're not allowed to be here from this moment on. So I guess the media is going to try and move across the line at this stage. So we're live here from Kruger Park on what seems to be indications at this stage that the South African National Defence Force will be deployed following, of course, the address by President Cyril Ramaphosa a bit later on. So we've been told to just pack up here at the moment. Peter, we do apologise. We'll have to break it there and just move on to another side of the road.
All right, Chriselda, stay safe. That's the military now intervening in that situation.